So today I have somewhat of an interesting and or possibly funny story. The only real problem with quote-unquote funny stories is, well, funny is somewhat subjective. So basically, I'm just going out on a limb here to tell you a story that you may or may not find entertaining and or funny. However, it involves Jeffrey, so I think there's a pretty good chance that this one's going to be a real slobber knocker, if you know what I mean. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know what I mean. I think I'm just really bad at coming up with clever ways to say something very simple. So this story takes place in the way back ye old times of around 6:30 this morning. Now we had an appointment for something up in Denver at around 8 or 9 this morning. And instead of Bree driving like she normally would, Jeef volunteered for the job. For those of you that don't know, Jeef actually drove himself down here in his adorable little Ford Escape, all the way from Ontario, right here to Colorado Springs. It was a painful drive, from what I hear, and Jeef has a very big habit of filming and vlogging pretty much everything that goes on when he comes on his little Colorado excursions/vacations. And this particular excursion was no exception whatsoever. Jeef, as per usual, came down loaded with a crap ton of camera equipment, I think like 40 some odd pounds of cameras and batteries and camera equipment. It's a little overwhelming. And amongst this plethora of cameras and shit, he brought his little GoPro. A GoPro Hero 4, I believe. So anyway, Jeef bought himself a little suction cup mount that he could put on pretty much any glass surface that he wanted to mount his GoPro and get some pretty cool shots for his vlogs. The only spot he actually put this being on the outside of his windshield. Now, Bree and I were a bit skeptical when we first saw this thing, seeing as how it's just a suction cup on the outside of your car when you're driving 60 plus miles an hour and there are wind gusts, can get a little bit dangerous. So naturally, we had our doubts and we wanted to make sure that he knew it was safe. Now, he told us the suction cup was rated for about 150 miles per hour in terms of wind resistance. And you can kind of see where the story is going right now. That kind of didn't really work out so well on this morning's excursion. As a matter of fact, Jeef was getting himself ready. He popped the suction cup right on top of his windshield yet again. Except this time, me being me, I felt the need to make another snide comment about, well, let's hope it doesn't fall off this time. Little did I know that I had accidentally jinxed/cursed Jeef's camera, if you will. I doomed it. This was all my fault. We're driving up the highway up towards Denver, and so in the middle of us talking, having a grand old time, whatnot, Bree notices something happening, and then Jeef notices almost immediately after. Poor Jeff's little camera was beginning to take flight, as it were.
What are you giggling about? It just wanted to be set free.
Look, no, it's just it's
fine. The camera wanted to be free.
And that's
it wanted to live
no.
dreams.
No. Look, the can't.
Follow your dreams, GoPro.
So the camera decided to follow its heart. I'm not sure what exactly that entailed for the life of the little tiny camera fella, but we noticed that the suction cup began to slip. Or rather, I didn't. I was oblivious to this whole thing until, well, it happened. According to Jeef, the suction cup began to slip ever so slowly off of the window. I'm in the middle of talking about something, Lord knows what, and from the driver's seat I hear poor Jeef freaking the fuck out about something. Fuck, shit! And as he's going through the many a curse words we all know, I look up to see the camera just fly right off of the windshield. Now, before we left that morning, Jeef did say, if this camera were to fly off of the car on the highway, oh well, I'm gonna leave it there. However, both Bree and Jeef kind of kept tabs on where the thing flew off to, and in a panic, Jeef slammed on the brakes, skittered across the entire highway over to the left shoulder. Poor little Jeef hops right on out of the car and begins sprinting around the highway. I think in total the poor guy ran like 2 miles. Well, as it turns out, the only thing that actually landed on that particular side of the highway on that shoulder was the now almost destroyed suction cup mount. And as he was looking for the GoPro, he looked right across the entire 3 or 4 lane highway, wherever it was. I can't quite remember how many lanes. It's a big highway, doesn't really matter too much. His vision gazes across the other side of the road and notices the poor little thing just laying there in the grass across a few lanes of highway as hundreds of cars go by at 80 plus miles an hour. Now, you'd think most people would just be pissed off and, well, that's it. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna leave it and I'm gonna go about my life. No, not old Jeffrey. We hopped right back in that car, sped about as fast as his little Ford could go across to the other side of the highway about a mile down the road, and then we watched as Jeff jumped out of the car again, sprinted another mile or so, and then came running back with the little camera that could. Almost completely destroyed. Still worked, though. So I guess the moral of the story really is that... So I guess the real point of this story, if there needs to be one, is that don't ever put your goddamn expensive camera equipment on the outside of your car, no matter what that weird little suction cup mount is rated in terms of speed and wind resistance. Because some old asshole you call a friend could come along and then, well, curse you and end up having you run all over the freaking highway trying to rescue your shit. Oh, another little nugget. Apparently a piece of the camera broke off on the highway and rammed into someone's windshield. It was just a fun morning in general. So anyway, yeah, that's the story of our morning. I thought it was a fun time. Again, I'm not the most story-savvy human being in the world. A lot of my plot points and timelines get a little bit jumbled, but in the end, I eventually tell you a full story from the fragments and stupidity that kind of flows from my face whenever I get behind a microphone. Or rather, in front of a microphone. Yeah, I think that's... And that is all the time we have for today's video, folks. Remember, if you even somewhat enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like. And if you really enjoyed the story/video, then consider subscribing. And until the next time Jeff comes for a visit and he breaks something in a really funny way, I'll be seeing you.